There has been something 13 years in the making that has involved a lawsuit against two cheat developers for, believe it or not, the PlayStation Portable. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking the PlayStation Portable, the PSP. This was maybe for some of you the last time you set foot in a Best Buy to purchase one of these bad boys. You can see at the bottom there, yeah, this was around for about 10 years. This has not been a thing since 2014. Now, it looks like this lawsuit back in 2012 was specifically about two cheat developer tools, and this was Action Replay PSP and Tilt FX. I do definitely remember Action Replay back in the day. You could find one of those for pretty much every console, but Tilt FX, I'm not familiar. But yes, basically looking at it, these are like memory cards almost, or just basically certain cartridges that you could plug into the PSP, and then there you go, you had unlimited lives in GTA, or I don't know, you could fly in Sly Cooper, or turn Donald and Goofy from Kingdom Hearts into like Simpsons characters. I don't know, sky's the limit when it comes to these cheat cartridges. So yes, 2012, there was a lawsuit from Sony, from PlayStation, against these two cheat developers, basically alleging that they were infringing on Sony's copyright. But it really wasn't just that simple. It wasn't open and shut in 2012, because yeah, I'm talking about it right now. There was actually just a very big development in this yesterday, July 31st, 2025. You see, since 2012, there has been a lot of back and forth with this. At first, the court ruled in favor of Sony. Then after an appeal, they ruled in favor of these cheat developers. Then it looks like Sony tried to appeal this. I think that appeal actually went through, but now that appeal has actually been shot down by the German Federal Court of Justice. So it says they have dismissed an appeal by Sony in the legal dispute against two manufacturers of cheat tools. So according to the court, the two cheat tools developed for PSP games do not infringe the copyright of the developer Sony because they do not modify the source code. Yeah, essentially the cheat developers were able to prove that what they were doing was not infringing any kind of copyright. Now I'll get more into that in a bit, but what's funny is that it does actually show that this went far beyond Germany. It looks like this actually got the European Union involved, believe it or not. The German court did actually turn to the Court of Justice of the European Union for an assessment, it says. But yes, what was just determined yesterday from the German court was that, quote, the forms of expression of a computer program that are protected by copyright include the source code and the object code as they enable the reproduction or subsequent creation of this program. But here's the kicker. Here's what the cheat developers were able to argue. It says, however, the defendant's cheat tools do not actually change the source code, but only the data that is stored in the working memory. This means that these tools only change the program flow and not the program data itself. There was therefore no infringement of the game manufacturer's copyright. Essentially, from what I understand here, the cheat developers were able to argue in quite a clever way that they only modified like a copy of the code rather than the code itself. It's kind of interesting, and yeah, on one hand that kind of sounds bizarre, but it's actually a pretty good argument. What's funny too is I don't really understand why Sony or any big game developer would want to go after these cheat developers from back in the 2000s and 2010s, because, you know, cheat developers today, that's a whole different story. I've talked a lot about that, and yes, that's totally understandable because for online games especially, that kind of cheating is totally understandable that game developers would want to go after them because they are going to completely ruin the experience of others online. Whereas this cheat developer, you know, the Action Replays, or, you know, like in my mind, I think of like Game Shark back in the day, that's not ruining the experience of anybody else. And to my knowledge, this Action Replay and Tilt FX, this was all just for single player games. It's not going to affect any online players. I don't even think the PSP could go online. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone can definitely correct me on that, but I don't think you could even play online games on it. Even if you could, I don't think that's really what the Action Replay back in the day did. Like I said, I believe this is more along the lines of, you know, unlimited lives, stuff like that in a single player game. So kind of odd that Sony would want to go after them, but yes, 13 years later, it does look like the court in Germany has decided, and they even got the European Union involved, and it was decided that these cheat developers, at least for years ago for single player games, did not infringe on any PlayStation copyright.